I shared this last week, but guys, your clients that you're working with, especially the people that are, that are raving about you or whatever it is, it's man, it's gold for you to have them give brief testimonials, and you make it easy. At the end of the day, the raw footage ones are the best. All I said was say who you are, what you do, how has the harvest helped you personally and professionally, and would you recommend it to somebody? Right. And I finish it off with, don't just give scratch the surface answers, like try and give a little bit of meaningful answer so people don't just think that it's just like almost like a little skit there. But for the most part, you can do that right on your phone. Just hold your phone and say, hey, this is Devin DiNofa. I'm in blah, 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 blah. And that's simple. It can be literally 2-3 minutes. And you could just text it over to me. But guys, man, I'll tell you, this week, if you just made one action, right, this week, and that's reaching out to give yourself a target of 10 testimonials from your past clients. Guys, you can use this and repurpose it for everything, because this is the deal. Go on social media. What are people all posting about, right? It's them posting about themselves. That's everybody, right? But it's a different type of message when it's actually the people that you are working with posting about how you help them, right? I see TJ right here, right? So TJ, this week, you should have people that you met at this stadium or people that you helped at a Union game. Hey, can you send me a brief just video or a testimony about how your experience was with me and the Union for your corporate? Like, that's the shit you should be posting out there. Right, guys? If there's anything that will pay for this membership for the next 10 years, this week, go get videos of 10 people who you've already done business with and use these. You repurpose them every single month. Send them out to your email list. Put them on your website. Put them on your social media, guys. Make a little montage video so if somebody says, hey, Sean, I'm trying to figure out like who to go to for financial planning or whatever it is, and you can send them a link. Hey, this is some testimonials from 10 of the people that I worked with in the past. Not many people are doing that, right? And that's the bottom line. And that immediately will probably spark enough interest and enough trust for them to use you versus other people. So that's the first challenge I want to give you guys to execute this week that will help grow your business brand and influence. But let's get into it. So for the most part, guys, I want you to put this in your calendar. October 20th from 5 to 8, it's our Harvest Appreciation event for 100 members, right? So I'm doing this in celebration that, through everybody that's contributed to the Harvest and shared what we're doing with them to other people. We're now over 100 members, which is exciting. What does that mean? Like I always tell you guys, you have 100 opportunities of business development, friendship, accountability, collaboration, hiring. Guys, we've seen it all. With the first 7 months of the Harvest, we've seen it all. Like people are literally getting each other jobs, becoming friends. Business is being passed literally every single day. Like the list goes on. So just know that, guys, this is only at 100, right? And I always give you guys the analogy. If everybody, even once a month, referred in one person, once a month, we can go from 100 members. Now you got 200 contacts in your database to grow your business. And the list goes on. So for the most part, October 20th, guys, please add that to your calendar. I'm going to do an Eventbrite to where, you guys can just RSVP. So please make sure to also RSVP. So I have a head count. It's going to be open bar. We're going to have music. Jay, I know you do DJ and stuff, but I didn't know if I wanted you to actually enjoy the event. You know what I mean? Rather than DJ. So that's up to you. If you want to bring, I'd rather you be there to enjoy it. I could just bring in a DJ, but you have mad skills. So that's up to you. You don't have to make that decision now, but I didn't want to I kind of wanted to, whatever you could do.
I could either bring in one of my guys if you want to do that route, or we could do acoustic too. I got an acoustic player, depending on the vibe you're looking for. Let me know. We could talk about it offline.
Bring them all, bro. I don't care.
We can bring them all.
Right. But for the most part, and with that being said, guys, we are doing in-person meetups once a month too, /events, which is exciting, right? So remember, I don't want you guys to lose focus. This is mainly a coaching community. All this other stuff is just, we can always just continue to over-deliver for you guys and give these opportunities. So if you go to, a meetup once a month and you're like, this isn't like whatever this thing does, where that's their main thing is these events, don't come with judgment. At the end of the day, it's just to get you guys meeting each other in person outside of virtually, and just continuing to build the relationships and build the culture. I know there's some people that give themselves all the excuses in the world why they can't make the one call per week during lunchtime. So they're like, man, I wish there was meetups. So, we'll have the one meetup per month. In October, our 100-person party is going to be that. And then our advisory board, who are the people in the Deep Roots members, are going to decide in November where our November meetup will be. So just know that we're going to be doing some cool in-person events too. And then on top of that, guys, I encourage you, that's just the community meetup. You guys should be scheduling your own meetups throughout. Is when people do take the initiative to try and oh shit. Can you guys hear me?
Now we can.
All right, cool. I saw my thing said my internet is unstable. I'm like, oh man. But when somebody takes the initiative, right, to want to get people together, right, hey, acknowledge it. But for the most part, if you say that, yeah, I'm in, please follow up and actually go, right? So, because listen, man, I encourage everybody to have it, and I see it. Everybody's posting about it, which is awesome. Guys, this call is just the first step. Right? So just know that it's not just showing up to the call that gets you the results. It's actually the work that you're going to do after the call, right? You executing what we're coaching you to do, and also you taking action to meet all the members, to develop relationships, to contribute to each other, to do business with each other, right? So that's where all the work is really done. And I appreciate everybody sharing their meetings and stuff like that. So just know that, yeah, we're going to plan each month the big member meetup, but throughout the month, you guys should be creating your own small groups, accountability groups, meetups to really leverage the power of this community. So have that in your calendar. I did drop a link, guys, for each quarter. I'm going to be coming out with a new Harvest shirt. So obviously, listen, there's a lot of you right now that are a huge influence to your networks because of what we're doing in the Harvest. There's not many communities or anything right now in this area that is doing what we're doing. It's not just about networking. By the way, there's been, I would probably say, way more business being done in the shortest amount of time than most things. But on top of that, people are looking and seeing literally the transformations left and right. I can't tell you how many people, whenever they get out of their ego, they'll jump in. But so many people, sissyfoot, what is the Harvest? Man, I see what you guys are doing. So we're coming out quarterly with shirts. So if you're proud of what we stand for and what you guys are doing in the community, and you're proud of the Harvest and literally the impact we're making, please, I would say grab yourself a shirt. Now, the way we have to do it, because I'm not like a clothing line here, so I can't just order 150 shirts and have boxes of shirts sitting around. So I'm actually working with, where's he at? Matt, I don't even know if he's on this call, but for the most part, there's a way that we could do it to where the link is up for 7 days. So I think we have 5 more days. You guys have to pre-order your shirts, right? So I'm not sitting on hundreds of inventory of shirts. So if you want one, I think the link expires in 5 days. Please make sure to pre-order a shirt and you guys will get it. But that's how we got to do it, in case you're wondering, like, hey, because, most people are, I'll get it whenever, right? So that's how we got to do it. So just know, if you do want a shirt, it's a Harvest Strong shirt. And I'll post it in the group too. I saw somebody said, I can actually put that chat up so I can see what you guys are here. So yeah, so I'll make sure that you guys get that too. And then lastly, our guest speakers. So guys, as you know, we bring super high level guest speakers every single month, right? And for those of you that are in this group, I know it's very easy to take for granted. Like, it just, most people aren't really exposed to too much coaching, but anybody from the outside in the coaching space, when I talk about what we do and the value that we bring and the guest speakers that we bring for the price we bring it, it's always the same shit. You're out of your mind. This is crazy. So I want you guys to understand, like, don't take this for granted. This is very uncommon. The people that what we're doing in here is very uncommon. So please plug in and take it seriously. So our next guest speaker, right, I met at a mastermind where I spent a lot of money to be a part of it. And he was actually a speaker. His name's Dana Cavalier, and he was the strength and performance coach for the New York Yankees for 5 years, one of the years when they won the World Series. So he actually was coaching Derek Jeter, Mariano Rivera, these champions of the world in sports. He was in charge of not coaching them just for their health, but for their mindset. right? So he's going to be our next guest speaker, right? Not many people have the opportunity to talk to people like this, guys. So when, I spent a lot of money to build this network and to earn the trust for these people to do this, which is why I say the value that you're getting, guys, at a bare minimum, you should be at least sharing this community with other people to contribute what we're giving you guys, right? So Dana is going to be on the call, and it's going to be a great, great opportunity to learn and hear, one, how the highest performers in sports in the world perform, what are their brain hacks, what helps them perform under pressure. But he is also an executive coach for very, very, very high-level business owners, where they're so high level to where he can't even say their names, right? So for the most part, just know that this guy is the real deal, just like everybody else I bring into your world to learn from. So he's our next guest speaker. Hopefully you guys are excited about it. And please, when I make that announcement, guys, if you're like, hey, I want to share this community, I want to contribute it and grow it, how do I do it? Well, share these calls. This guest speaker, not many people have the opportunity to share this. Share, like, hey, this is our Harvest next guest speaker. This is pretty ridiculous. If you want to be a part of something like this, reach out. And this is a business development strategy for every one of you guys. And that's the opportunity that a lot of you are missing by contributing to this and putting more people into your world. Now we're going to get into it. That was kind of just some updates that I felt were important for you guys to know. And lastly, too, you guys know the housekeeping rules. Try not to multitask. Really plug in, guys. Have the mindset. What could I take from this call to execute? Where is the golden nugget that I can take from this call to execute, right? I was just having a one-on-one call with one of my clients, actually somebody in the community. And it's funny, the things you look for, most times you'll find. If you're looking for negativity, you'll find it. If you come to this call and try and find something negative about the call, you will probably find something negative. It's just easy. If you come in here and be like, I want to find that life-changing advice that I'm going to implement, and I want this call to be a $100,000 call for me, you will find that content that will make this a $100,000 call for you if you execute what's being told. So for the most part, everything in the Harvest, guys, we coach you guys on is mostly about playing the offense, right? That's the deal. And, everybody in business, I say this to you guys a lot, but it doesn't matter what your profession is. At the end of the day, you're in the marketing and the lead generation business. And the sooner you wrap your head around that, the sooner you will grow your company and make that financial lifestyle and those goals that you will have, right? Most people play the defense though, right? They get into a business. All right, well, how do I cut costs? I'm afraid to do this. So that's a little bit out of my comfort zone. It's like, man, I want to do it, but I don't want to go all in. And a lot of times when you truly ask yourself, how much offense, how many hours of offense am I playing every single day? If we're real with ourselves, outside of this call, most people, let's just say they get up, they do a lot of servicing stuff, right? They bullshit on, so they probably waste the first half of the day because their time management's garbage. Then they have a networking event planned. And ultimately, that if they do have a networking event planned, that's kind of what they hang their hat on. I had a great day. It was a tough day at the office. I went to my networking event. That's my obligation of playing offense. And most times they don't do it the right way anyway, and they're a professional networker. And I'm sure you guys know all these people that are out every single week, right, doing this networking, and they're not truly living the life that they truly want to live, right? Because their success outside of being a professional networker does not measure up. And I don't want none of that for you guys, right? That's the bottom line. So just know it's all about playing offense. And what happens is when you guys are always on the offense, all the budgets, right? A lot of all the other stuff, the defensive stuff takes care of itself, right? I need you to understand that. And I said on the Deep Roots call yesterday, right, to keep it very simple, I always like the storyteller to make you guys understand this. When I was in restaurant management, food cost was a big deal. We did a decent amount of sales, but for the most part, we didn't do enough sales to where I had to be relentless with cutting costs, right, and cutting labor, right? Like if my labor was up, I sent somebody home on the cooking line so I can save labor, right? Now, I had to do that. Why? Because my GM was not playing enough offense. He was not every day trying to find ways to bring attention to our restaurant and grow and do more business. Then I looked at this other guy who had a restaurant in Ben Salem, right? And they always had the best numbers, right? I'm like, Norm, how the hell are you guys? You guys are busy as shit. How are you like so diligent with keeping all this great food? I was like, this has to be the hardest work in the world. And he goes, Devin, when you do the numbers, the food cost takes care of itself. When you do the sales, the food cost takes care of itself, right? So everything that we're coaching you guys on is playing the offense, right? Instead of you guys playing scared and not playing the offense is in lead generation, right? That's one of the many things. And there's other ways to play the offense. But in regards to what we're finishing up this focus on business drop-offs, this is just another way to play the offense. So you're not just planning your whole day around one networking event and wondering why in a year when you go to one networking event or two networking events, you're not making the money and doing the production that you truly want to do, right? Because it's all about, hey, and even let's just say you don't network. Most people, they'll do, if they even, they'll be happy with themselves posting a couple times on social media, and then they hang their hat on it. Oh, well, hey, pray, hopefully something comes up, right? I don't want that for you guys. So remember this, offensive growth becomes a defensive strategy. Write that down. Offensive growth becomes a defensive strategy, right? So every day, how could I get more business? What am I doing to create attention to myself, right? If, most people, they're sitting there, all these like in the business problems. And most of the time it's because they can't afford to deal with this stuff because they're not doing enough business development. And if they're real with themselves and really go in on their calendar, right? How much offense? Be real with yourself. How many conversations are you having each day about your business and how your business can help somebody? How many, right? You won't have a good amount of number like that if we're real with ourselves, right? And I tell myself this stuff all the time, right? And by the way, I have way bigger goals for where I'm at right now, and I have to have this conversation, and the answer is I'm not playing enough offense, right? But the minute we're real with ourselves about what we truly want out of life, not your comfort goal, not your comfort answer. I just want to do this. The answer wasn't known. You weren't holding anything back, and I had a magic wand. What would your life look like? I guarantee you, most times, it wouldn't be nothing of what your life looks like now, right? So have the courage, what we're talking about in deeper, is to say what it is you truly want and play the offense to get it, and this is a strategy to do it. So for the most part, it's played. If most of you have been on this call a lot, but we got to revisit it, and most times, a lot of you probably haven't executed on what we talked about last week anyway. So let's get back into it. Business drop-offs, right? So if you're wondering, right, what could I be doing today to grow my business, right? I have a networking event. I have social media. I'm terrified to make sales calls. So what could I be doing? If you're a business owner and you have salespeople and they're like, I'm speaking to a big corporation very soon. And literally the words out of that person's mouth was, Devin, this is the deal. I need you to go in there and coach them on how to grow their business so they're not just relying on the company to give them internal leads. That's most business owners, right? So this is what I coach on, right? This is what the Combine method coaches on. So for the most part, most of these people wake up with no plan. Well, I don't know what to do and I'm afraid to make sales calls. Well, you could be going out farming businesses, right? Showing up to businesses. Business is a contact sport, guys. You got to go out there. You got to shake hands. You got to be seen, right? So one way to do it is by having a target amount of, and you can automate this each week, each month, have a goal. Am I hitting 10 businesses a month? The same 10 businesses a month so they see me and I'm increasing my chance to get business from them, right? It's all about giving yourselves at-bats, guys. Most of you don't really have a lot of at-bats per week, right? That's the bottom line, right? If you really think about it, right? Michael Jordan, all these people who had all these crazy numbers at the end of the day, I think Michael Jordan probably had the record for the most shots too, right? He gave them, don't quote me on that, but I know he had a ton of shots, and I know that related to a lot of his points, right? How many shots are you taking every single day? And be real with yourself. I guarantee if you're real with yourself, it's probably not a lot, right? So to keep it real simple, ask yourself that question, right? How many shots, right? And sometimes you got to think of dialogue that gets you motivated, right? So maybe it's not how many sales calls. I'm not motivated for that. Maybe it's like I envision when I make a sales call or I call a prospect, it's me shooting a 3. I don't know. Whatever that is, whatever your favorite thing is, whatever your sport, that's the way to do it. But it doesn't matter what business you're in. I see people in mortgage. Jeremy, I see you in photography. You just moved to Marlton. You should be hitting every single Marlton business, Jeremy. That's the bottom line. You should be visiting 10 businesses a week. You can go right down Main Street, find something that you can walk in there and give them of value, treats, support another local business. Go to rent. Guys, this is for everybody, but for the most part in Marlton, there's a bakery. Go to Randolph's. And by the way, say I'm a local photographer. By the way, if you need any of your actual cakes and stuff, photography, whatever that stuff is, now you're taking all that stuff and you're going to all the businesses along Main Street, introducing yourself. I'm a new business owner. Here you go. I'll drop these off once a month for you. I guarantee you by the end of the month, you're going to get business, right? And by the way, this is also shows social media content. You're sharing to the world. You're sharing to your network that you are going out and actually chasing and trying to grow your business, right? Because guess what? It's very uncommon to see people out there hustling, right? It is, right? That's just the bottom line. Right now, we're all connected on social media, like hopefully we all are. So now we're kind of used to it. But for the outsiders that aren't connected with us, you know what I mean? I mean, dude, look at it now. Look at all the news, right? I mean, it's literally like, they're just giving away money. They're not even motivating anybody to work anymore. You know what I mean? So when they see people out there and business owners out there hustling, trying to grow their business, guess what? They want to support that. I built a career off of that, right? You know how much business I got because I shared in the dead cold winter in the snow doing door hangers? You know how impactful that was for my business? Nobody's doing that, right? So I guarantee you people will want to root for you because you're out there hustling. So you leverage it, the path of opportunity. How else can I leverage these business drops to hit other commitments that are on the Combine method that I know will grow your business? Well, if I'm out there doing business drops, guess what? I can then leverage the social media. So I'm hitting my social media commitments today too, right? And then by the way, when I'm there, hey, let's schedule a time to get coffee. So now I can schedule my vertical meetings throughout the week, right? The list goes on. So with that being said, to make it easier for you guys, where do your friends work? Is there opportunities? Is there business opportunities there? Get you in the door. You got to find ways to get in the door. Find somebody that you know. And don't just show up with nothing, right? Show up with something that you're excited about. Food, like you got to lead with value. They got to be excited to see you, right? And I know through these past calls that we also have been talking about, there's a lot of people that shared some pretty cool strategies. After meeting somebody, you follow up with a nice mailer, an expensive pen, engraved, all that stuff. But depending on what your niche is, guys, I mean, you can get very creative with this. My main business is real estate, right? So I just do it's almost like kind of blind because I know that a lot of people are a target for real estate, but it's not like as niche as, let's just say, let's just say you're in IT, right? Like I know like business owners flat out, I'm gonna go in there. I know there's an opportunity for me to help with their technology, whatever. So I can be very laser focused on that. And I know that if I go to schools, that's my target. There's no well, hopefully they know somebody. No, schools can use me, and that's my main target. So every month I need to be at least visiting 20 schools outside of all the other stuff that's on the Combine method to grow my business, right? So, some of you are in a better opportunity because you can easily kind of niche out a little bit better than some other people. But for the most part, those are just, different examples, right? So the challenge is throughout this next week, who's going to go out there, boots on the ground, and shake hands and visit some businesses, right? And prospect, right? Who's going to do that? That's my, challenge for you guys. And if you're doing it and execute it, post it. Post it in the community. We'll hold each other accountable, right? That's how we do it. We keep motivating each other, right? So again, this is just, an offensive strategy, right? One of the many offensive strategies. This isn't like just do this and forget about everything else, right? It's whatever it takes. Devin, how many of these do I have to do? How many calls do I have to make, Devin? How many social media posts do I have to make, Devin? It's whatever it takes. That's the answer. Most people don't like that answer, right? Because they want instant gratification. A lot of people are soft, right? Softness. People don't become success. Most times people are too much in their emotion. They're soft. They're afraid to hear no. They don't have no fortitude. They can't do the same thing over and over again for months, right? That's the bottom line. So question, are you being soft, right? Because if you're trying to get to where you're trying to get to, you cannot be soft. You need fortitude. You need grit. You need grind. You need to be able to hear the word no. Don't be in your emotion, right? That's where the real winners are. They get past their fear, right? Because what happens is when you're soft, guess what? It's everybody else's fault. I got to get out of this because that didn't really work for me. Well, how did you execute anything outside of it? Not really, but it's this person's fault. It's the weather here, and I'm busy. The I'm too busy line, guys. I'm telling you right now, this kills people. with health. This kills dreams. This kills family. This kills bank accounts. This builds relationships. The I'm too busy excuse, right? It's either you're not inspired enough, you don't have enough energy, you don't have your priorities in order, and you're letting everybody else run your day with busy work, right? And you're not leveraged out, like the I'm too busy excuse, guys. So get over that as soon as you can too, because that will really help you have major breakthroughs. All right, with that being said, I'm going to start calling people out just to see who we can help. I don't mean call you out. I mean, hey, bring something that we can kind of help you out with. Guys, remember, we're not mind readers, and we're in this to get better. Listen, you guys are all good at what you do, right? So if you ask a question, nobody's going to be like, oh, never mind, I can't use that person because they're not a pro in everything in the world. Like, no, don't have that mindset. But at the end of the day, I think we all can agree there are more levels that we're trying to get to than where we're at now, right? And if the answer is yes to that, okay, what traits, what activities, what type of person do I have to be that person? Because obviously if I had those traits right now, I would be that person. I have to ask myself this every day. I'm not where I want to be. So what do I have to change? What do I not have? What habit do I not have in place? What person am I not hiring for coaching? I don't know. But at the end of the day, like, that's how you got to ask yourself this, right? Unless you're like, listen, I'm perfectly where I want to be. Everything's a 10 in my life. Then I have nothing to ask, which good for you. That's where I'm trying to be too. So, all right. So for the most part, let's get to calling some people out. So, I haven't spoke to in a minute. TJ, what's up with you, brother? How are you?
What's going on? Doing well. I'll say I've been doing a lot of stuff on the back end, so I apologize that my video hasn't been on the past couple of meetings, but I promise that I've been making sure to write down as many notes as I possibly can.
Forget the notes. Are you taking action?
I am. I'm proud to say that because of the lessons and stuff that I've learned in here, and by taking action and whatnot, in terms of building my business book as well too, I'm actually in the process of getting a promotion here.
Yo, look at that, buddy. Guys, listen, let me give you the biggest hack. If you work for an organization, you go to the higher up. This is what I really haven't worked for anything, but for the most part, I probably did. But I would immediately go and say, this is what I want. Like, listen, I just want to set the expectation for you because I know I'm going to work for it. But this is where I'm trying to go, right? And you may be 5 years, but you have to plant that seed, right? I've done that in Keller Williams. Right? Like, I just put it out there, like, and then eventually I realized, but I got the opportunity. Like, they were like, listen, the whole Long Beach Island, you can have that. Like, you can be the OP for that. And I realized that, because I'm very clear what I want my lifestyle to be and what my non-negotiables are, that wasn't in place. But that only came because I planted that seed, right? And I told them, like, TJ, if you're in the union, like, what is the best position in the union that you'd want to be at?
I'll say someday, I mean, my end goal someday is to be the CBO. So I want to run all of the business aspects of a sports organization. So this is just another step in that process. I'm going to be a manager of premium seating here with the team.
Which one of the higher ups know that that's what you want to do? Like, clearly know that.
Yeah, but I make sure to lay it out every single time, because what we do is we kind of break down like the best steps and what we should do to eventually make it to that level.
Awesome. Good stuff, man. And by the way, if you're on a Zoom call with them, I would have like a slash, like future this, right? Or whatever. But listen, you're planting that seed and it will happen. Just the way it is, dude. As long as you obviously follow up with working, you know what I mean, and actually earning it, you will speed up progress there. All right, so good. So you're getting a promotion, right? That's good stuff. So where else do you need that promotion? How's your health? How's your relationship? How's your mindset? Everything.
Yeah, no, I did 75 hard this summer, and I ended up losing 41 pounds over those 75 days. So I was really excited about that, but I have seen that I have not kind of kept up with it. So I'm actually, I took the necessary necessary steps to get back into it here last week. I actually met with a nutritionist that we provide here through the union. In the process of changing gyms to try and build like more of that community mindset back up. And didn't tell him yet, but I'm definitely taking advantage of Justin's morning workouts here shortly as well.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Listen, man,
So I'm getting myself back in the right spot.
I ain't letting you get too comfortable. Don't be smelling yourself
Never.
over there. All right. That's all right.
Never.
Good stuff, man. Let's go. I know he hopped on. I don't think Danny. Congratulations, first and foremost. Right, you just had a baby.
I did on the 26th, so it's pretty exciting. We're everyone at the house is doing really well, and all the sisters are helping right now, which is pretty awesome. We'll see if that continues, though. So
just want to throw it out there. Danny and I both defied odds, all girls, and then put a boy out.
Thank you.
Good stuff, man. So what's one thing that, we can kind of help raise your performance in?
So I need to get back on track with a daily focus. I started to create a list of like my daily themes, Monday through Friday, having a different category of me reaching out to people. Could be active people that I work with in all businesses, realtors, financial advisors, attorneys. Then the next day could be all active clients or potential prospects as you move forward. And then Thursday, I've dedicated to all my past client database. But every single day, I need to have a category. I created a sheet where I have to have 5 meetings every single week, face-to-face. That is something that I used to do pre-COVID pretty frequently, but because of COVID, it's something that fell off completely. I've picked up heavily on Zoom, but I want to be able to do more face-to-faces. I have a category where I want to do 60 phone calls every single week. So those can't just be conversations and you mark your individual's name down. They have to be great conversations where I help them or I ask for business. How can I help them grow? That's classified as a great conversation. I also need to create social media videos. It doesn't have to be about work, but something that can benefit others that you guys are talking about, and post on social media, because I'm finding that gets the most views on like a live feed, like your story tell. Something that I also used to do heavily was write notes. Any person that I ever met, I would write a handwritten note before. And I've gotten away from that. I have an entire stack of hundreds of personalized cards. So I want to get back to that now, where every single week I have to write 20 cards out to people. And those are my goals, what I'm trying to focus on and grow right now. And
that's awesome. And by the way,
that's probably a lot. I'm sorry.
No. So listen, I already know the main thing is I got to get back to like having a focus on like a checklist, right? Is that kind of what you said, like a list?
Yep.
Not the answer for that.
Yep.
But, I do want everybody to note, right? So this is a huge performance hack, guys. And I work with people about this all the time, is themed days, right? How can you literally run your week, right? And one way to do that is themed days, right? And what happens is you now can book your appointments and run your calendar so much easy, because listen, this is the deal. Let's just say Wednesdays, my theme day Wednesday that's when I'm out like networking, right? So that's when I want to book my outside vertical meetings, or maybe it's just vertical meetings are strictly Wednesday, right? So let's just say it's Tuesday and somebody says, you get an email, hey man, can I connect with you on a call or let's meet up? You immediately in your mind know Wednesdays, right? That's your theme day, right? There's no anxiety. Like you're running your day. You know when you can book these people. This, that, the other. That's a theme day, guys. That's huge, right? I met when I was out in California with my coach and mentor and now partner. One of the people that he coaches is his name's Ben Anderson. He's called the $1 Billion Mortgage Lender, right? And I was in San Diego, and I went to, I was going to my Dave's office, and I looked over, and I'm like, damn, look at that Rolls Royce. And the dude next to me was like, dude, that guy has like 4 of them, like all different colors, right? And I was like, what the hell is he doing? And he was like, he's in mortgages, right? So I went over to Dave, and I was like, Dave, you know that guy? And he's like, yeah, I coach him. I was like, can you get me in there and schedule a meeting with this guy? He's like, yeah, hit him up. I went in there, it was like a beautiful office. And I sat down with him, and he was telling me about every Monday, his theme day is lead generation, right? For 8 hours on Monday, every single Monday, all he's doing is playing offense. He's in lead generation. Right now, why is this important? Right? What do most people do? All right, well, you know what? I want to do lead generation, like intentional lead generation, 2 hours Monday through Friday a day. I want it. So now you're trying to count on your discipline 5 days in a row, right? To do that. Most people will fall off, right? Or only do an hour or whatever it is. So the performance hack of this is if you're already locked, you only have to be disciplined 1 day, right? On that, right? And you're doing it for 8 hours. Right. So all the other BS, the people trying to take you off of your calendar, this, that, the other thing, that's scheduled. That's not on Mondays, right? Not on Mondays, because for 8 hours, I'm locked in and growing my business and playing the offense and booking more appointments, doing more deals. Right now, he also had multiple companies. And he said, Tuesday is when I'm servicing I'm working with my servicing team, making sure all the deals are in the pipeline are closing. He also has a digital marketing business. Wednesday, I focus on my digital marketing business, right? So imagine every Monday you're starting off your week with the momentum of generating business, scheduling appointments, right? Because Monday, it's listen, guys, the fear of the unknown cripples a lot of people, right? Well, I don't know, like you're unprepared, right? Which is why the Combine method is a tool that you print out Sundays or Monday mornings. So there's no anxiety. Like you know what you're doing this week to grow your business. Most people, if you ask them, if you're a leader in an organization and you have salespeople, what are you doing this week to grow your business? Oh, I got a few networking events and social media and probably making some calls. All right, well, when are you doing it? Well, I know I have my networking event here, but outside of that, it's like, yeah, I'll probably get to it each day. Right? How confident are you that you're going to win that week? Right? If I told you guys, I will give you $50,000 if you generated this much new business by next, let's just say, next Friday or next Saturday, right? But you had to start Monday. Guess what? Sunday night, I guarantee you will have a plan heading into that week, right? I guarantee you're going to be like, I ain't going into this week without a plan on how I'm going to generate this business, right, guys? That's the mindset you have to have, right? But it's all about preparing. It's all about preparation. And one easy way to do it is through themed days, right? In real estate, I'm doing my site visits on Tuesdays. I'm out looking at investment properties this day, right? Like that, I'm booking. And by the way, if you're in real estate and you're like, well, what if I need, like you eventually can have people go out there and scope and you give them a system, you give them a model on how to look at a project. But when you're out, like I know when I have real estate development deals I'm doing in Philly, I got a partner who lives in Lakewood. He's like a 60-year-old Orthodox Jewish guy, and he comes from Lakewood. He can only be down here certain days. So it's like when I book, like I know project visits are that day. Like that's it. And by the way, if my theme is Philly that day, well, now I know if I have it, how can I leverage this? Right? My business coach, he travels the country. Like he's all over the place. This guy is insane. Like he's on the board of 45 different companies. It's just crazy. But what I do know is like whenever he goes, like he's October 7th, he's going to be in Philly. So he already hit me up. Whenever he goes to an area, like he leverages the crap out of it. Like there is not a minute that goes by that's not wasted. He's doing meetups. All right, who else do I know in Philly that I need to meet, that I do? And everything is scheduled around that theme of Philadelphia, right? Who's close by to here, blah, blah, blah. So with that being said, that theme day, if you guys actually implement this, it will change your business and change your production. And by the way, change your family life too, right? Tim, I see your hand raised.
So real quick, you had asked me to do a quick video. So if you want me to, I can kind of throw that out right now if you want me to.
Yeah, let's get into that. And then I'll answer. I'm going to give you your tip on that. Dan, we're going to go into your list, but this is good. So I know what to talk about.
Yeah, I was thinking that you were kind of talking about the networking piece and going out and all that stuff. So here's the deal. So real quick, I've been selling for 33 years in sales. I've been in business for 24 years. And fact of the matter is, I said to Devin the other day, I said, I'm kind of sick of networking. You know, you go to these networking events and, you know, you're trying to approach the same, or sometimes people you don't know. You guys all know how it is. You love it, you hate it. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, blah, blah, blah. Bottom line is this. So Devin asked me to play golf in the tournament for the Harvest, which was awesome. I went. I don't know many of these people. I have a lot going on, like he said. He wants to sit, but, not too busy to do things like this. I went and I was skeptical about the networking piece because I have this head trash about networking right now, right? So I go and we get finished golfing, me and Justin and Mike Leonetti and Tyler Arjun, and we all kind of split up and talking to different people. What I discovered was, because of all the things that I've implemented since I've joined this group, 75 hard, because of walking and talking and then interviews, because of all the things that I've implemented. And
Hold on, you're on mute, Tim. Tim, you're on mute.
So anyway, because of the action I've taken, it's basically put me in a different position. So instead of going to this outing, play off. You said offense to defense, and I would say it's more offense to offense, because if I'm playing offense, when I went to that networking event, I was still on offense because people were coming up to me and saying, "Hey, Tim," and almost anywhere I go, somebody says, "Yo, walking and talking, yo, walking and talking." I literally was at Irish weekend this weekend, and I saw somebody and a guy in a band that I know, and he yells down from the stage, "Yo, walking and talking, when are we walking?" And I kid you not, it's crazy the amount of, and listen, who cares about it? Really, honestly, I mean, I think it's fun to do. Some of them are fun to watch. You may like them, you may hate them. It doesn't really matter. But to Devin's particular point, if you're making an effort, a genuine, concentrated effort, which I feel like I am, I feel like it paid off. I went home. I was like the last person to leave that golf outing, except the people that put it together. And I talked to everybody. In fact, I set up 2 more walking and talkings. In fact, I'm going to be doing one with Rob Curley, a great guy, so, and who I never would have been able to get that with before, and maybe, but not necessarily, I walked up and said, "Hey, Rob, how you doing? Nice to meet you." I said, "I've met you once or twice." I said, but he goes, "You doing them interviews, Tim?" I'm like, "Yeah." And boom, it was it. And I said, "You want to do one?" He said, "Sure." Next thing you know, we're changing cell phone numbers and we're setting the thing up. The whole point of what I'm trying to say is simply this, is that all the action that I've taken is the leverage that I needed, and I didn't know I needed it, to help me be a better networker, period. Because, it just takes all that uncomfortableness. It's not all gone, but it just opens doors. I guess that's the best way I can put it, but that's it.
No, 100%. And that's why a lot of times, guys, when we talk about just a lot of these things, man, like social media in particular, like some people think, well, when I do it now and that day, if nothing comes of it, well, it didn't work. Like, no, you're building what is called, and I'm going to do a whole, I got to get better at this too, because people are asking me to go to their companies and shit. I'm like, what the hell you want me to talk about? But for the most part, virtual rapport is going to be like a thing that I'm going to talk about, right? It's just not, it's definitely no corporate training is teaching it. And for the most part, it is a $1 billion strategy here, because you don't have to travel a lot to develop relationships if you know the right way to build virtual rapport. But for the most part, this is what it is, guys. And by the way, there's going to be people that Tim connected with at that event that probably never seen him on social media, but a lot of people went up to Tim because of the virtual rapport that he built prior. Now, guess what? Meetings it's like shooting fish in a barrel. So a lot of these things that we're talking about, guys, are going to benefit you in the near future, right? So if I just saw Kenny says he's got to run, but for the most part, Ken's prospecting schools. Imagine if he connected with principals, right? 30 principals, right? Or whoever that decision maker was, and he was consistently doing his social media branding, right? And then, sure enough, he eventually seen them, right? And then they're like, it's not uncomfortable. It's like, dude, you know what? Let's set the meeting. right? And literally for Tim, it was like shooting fish in a barrel because of the work that he put in prior to develop those relationships and build that virtual rapport. But Dave, I saw you have something next. Let me just finish with Danny real quick. I don't want to get.
Hey, Dev, one quick thing. One quick thing to note. About half the people that have talked about it or mentioned it or said it wherever I go have not liked or commented on one single video.
Yep. So if you're getting in your emotion, oh, nobody's seeing it, nobody reached out because they don't want to use me right now. Listen, guys, be consistent, and eventually it will happen. So, Danny, for the most part, about your like being focused with having a plan of attack. And if you got the combine method in your email, I have a Power 5 list on there, right? Ultimately, it's what are 5 tasks that you're going to be able to, like, what are 5 needle moving tasks that you're going to do that day to where you can lay your head down and said you won the day. Right now, so with the harvest, right, I'm building out a website to where you guys will be able to go on my website and log in your tasks to use that as an accountability tool, and you're going to get points, right? But for the most part, the bottom line is it can be family and business. So in harvest, it's mind, body, and business. That's work and family business we really focus on, right? So on that Power 5 list, maybe it's, hey, you know what? I haven't taken my kid to school. Like, I want to make sure I'm taking my kid to school today because last week I went and I didn't drop my kid off at school. And at the end of the day, that's not acceptable if I'm trying to be a great father, husband, whatever that is, right? Maybe that's on your Power 5 list that day. But the other things are, needle moving. Like, I feel, and by the way, it's not start another business. That's too overwhelming. But what happens is when you get these wins, when you win these small days, this Power 5 list, over time, you're going to have the best year you ever have, and it's just going to stack. Now, how do you make it easy, right? Because listen, at the end of the day, the one thing I realized, everybody has the combine method, but nobody's ever going to print it out. Maybe a couple of you probably printed it out, but outside of that, not really. So, by the way, my own self, sometimes I'm not consistent with it. So what I do is, all right, Devin, how can I make this easier for you? Because your lazy ass is not printing this out and doing it. Okay, so now I go on, if you can see, I don't know if you can see, but this is my calendar, right? I have every single day, I have plugged into my calendar from 6 a.m. to 7 power list. So when I wake up, instead of going on social media, well, instead of being waken up by babies, outside of that, I will click on this and I'm like, all right, you know what? What are the 5 things, like the 5 winning activities I can do today? And the cool thing is when you're intentional, you get more done than you'll ever do probably in a week, in sometimes a couple hours. But you can probably knock out this Power 5 list at 11 a.m., dude. And if you're intentional, like some of these things, you can, if you go all in with this an hour sprint, and you guys all know what sprints are now with the performance that we coach on. If you have an intentional hour with no distractions, you can probably knock out that Power 5 list in an hour. You know what I mean? So Power 5 list is going to be helpful. Whatever you got to do, whatever's easier for you, if you have it plugged in on your phone, on your calendar, do it that way. If you want to write it down, if you want to, I don't know, put a Post-it note on your thing or have a Post-it note, a stack of Post-it notes on your desk because you're at your desk every single day. Sometimes you got to change your environment to help you guys execute on a different level. So understand that. But I hope that helped, Danny. Dave, let's go to you real quick. So I know you had your hand up. David.
Yeah, sure. So you mentioned real fast about the social media, like Rome wasn't built in a day. And I'm sure Tim can probably, comment on this too. Like when he first did the walk and talks, the first 4 probably put his head down. It's like, all right, here's this new concept. Let's do it. But by the 17th one, he's getting traction and then it's getting noticed. So it's same with like social media, and Jason Gabrielli's on this call too. We're doing this now with HFM. Like by the 17th video, people gain traction that you have a podcast or you're doing videos. Like I'm a big analogy person. No one remembers Bradley Cooper's first 2 movies, but they remember the last 4 because it's a buildup. So like with social media, like if you're posting nonstop and you're not getting the traction you want, over time, it will happen organically. Like if you build it, they will come to sort of thing. But on top of all of that, just consistently posting and make sure it's good content overall. So I always tell people you're not going to get 1,000 likes in a day. You're not going to get 10,000, 100 likes or people commenting at all, but people are watching and just put your head down and just produce it. And like Tim said, like people are coming up to him now and saying, hey, you're the walk and talk guy. But in the first 4 videos, that probably didn't happen, but he keeps building it. And, it's now like people come up to him and it's the same thing with social media. So I just wanted to kind of bring up that.
Listen, man, he knows, he knows that stuff, dude. And at the end, I mean, look at just with social media ads in general, like when you're running funnels, and I know Nick could probably talk about this too, or whoever else in marketing, like the first couple days, it's like, it's got to get data. It's got to like, is that right, Nick? Like you got to like gather information and shit. And then eventually it starts popping off.
You got to build the top of the funnel first, and it takes a lot of testing. You're not going to get your momentum. You're not going to get your sale in the first month. It might take 3 to 6 months until you see like the fruits of what you're trying to do there. But just to add to what Dave said, you can't give up on social media just because you don't see traction right away. I mean, if you look at Gary V, when he launched Wine Library, he spent a couple of years putting stuff out and nobody cared what he put out. And then one day it just clicked. And then that's when he created that cult following. So, it's just staying true and consistent to what you're trying to achieve. And just because you don't see the results right away doesn't mean you're not going to get them.
Yep. Perfect. Now, a performance hack, a brain hack, right? Just like when I try and get you a new habit, right? Don't just say, I'm going to start eating, I'm going to start exercise. No, give yourself a brain hack. How many days in a row are you going to do it? Hold yourself like 45 days. I'm going to do this for 60 days. I'm going to do it for 30 days. Podcast, right? You know what? I'm not going to judge anything until I log 25 podcasts, right? Wow. Now, what's that going to do, right? So after the first 5, when you're like, man, I'm not a celebrity after 5 podcasts, this sucks. It doesn't work. Your mind is not, you're not even going to get in your emotions because it's like, I told myself I got to do at least 25. I mean, with podcasts, it may need to be 100. You know what I mean? But, these are brain hacks because, dude, everything takes time. Right. So and it doesn't matter what it is. New habits, 66 days. I mean, whatever it is. But for the most part, everything takes time. I was talking to a deeper yesterday. I felt like the biggest thing with 75 hard, the biggest takeaway that I felt was like the biggest like magic pill in that was the fact that it's 75 days. Right. So your mind is trained to do it for 75 days. Listen, everybody knows they got to eat better. Everybody knows exercising more in a day, you're going to lose weight. Right? But why don't people do it? Right? Because, well, one way it takes consistency. It takes, and with working out, guys, you may do something for 30 days and not really see anything. Right? And that's what also discourages people. But then after 60 days, it's like, wow, like what just happened? So these are brain hacks that you can start using. Don't just do, all right, I'm going to do this for X amount of days straight, and that's your expectation. Right? Because at the end of the day, this stuff works. Same thing with business drops. Maybe I got to do 10 businesses for 5. Like, dude, when I was doing Meet the Business Owner videos in Marlton, right? I don't know how many videos I did, but sure enough, like months after that happened, right? I didn't get no business from those videos, but months after, then opportunities started popping up. Like well after I stopped doing them, which I probably should have kept doing. What the hell is I need to keep doing them. But for the most, and I probably lost so many opportunities if I would have dropped a bunch more. But I hope that's all helpful for you guys so far. Who else? Anybody else have something that they want to work on? You can say in the chat or you can raise your hand. I'm looking at you guys. Or if not, I'll just keep calling people out. Let me go to some screens. Allison, let's go to you. I haven't talked to you in a minute. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I see your videos. I know Allison's hitting that LinkedIn. Are you hitting all your platforms with your videos?
I put them on Instagram TV. On occasion, I put them on YouTube. And I do it on LinkedIn. Not everyone, it's not like everyone people I know on LinkedIn are following me on Instagram, but yeah, I put them on my Instagram, Salty and Soiree, and I put them on LinkedIn, and I haven't put them on Facebook recently, and I should. So yeah, but
you got to that because I was like, you said everything. I'm like, meanwhile, like you have a huge following on Facebook. Like, why in the world? Now, listen, this is the deal, right? Naturally, you should probably, is there anything that's getting in your way from not posting it on Facebook? Like, do you have any head trash that's like if I put it on Facebook, this will happen? Like, what's the deal with that?
Just thinking like, LinkedIn and Instagram is enough. It's a 2-minute video. That's it. There's no logic behind why I'm not. There's no obstacle.
All right, so that's good. So it should be a very easy transition. Be like,
It should.
Let me put these things on stinking Facebook. because you got a massive following on Facebook. You know what I mean? So you just, at the end of the day, remember, guys, this is free. Like these avenues. I know we kind of talk about social a lot, but for the most part, it's a huge opportunity for a lot of people, and it's free, which is what my coaching is based on. How can I help you grow your business without needing a profitable business, without needing to spend a lot of money? But like, that's it. Like, and if you're mine, you just have a brain hack to where it's like, man, if I don't post on Facebook, I'm missing a lot of opportunities there.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna do that. Thank you. Every video is gonna be on Facebook. Thank you.
I know you will. You're very disciplined. I know you will.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Let's go. Who else? Anybody got something? I'll just keep calling. Let's go to Brian. Brian McGroarty. What's up, man? I see you've been golfing, right?
Yeah. With the Heisman back here that we just
Good,
won
buddy.
recently at the Prizzy outing. That was a great time. I tried to really incorporate, especially this summer, I love the golf. I started the golf league. I know some of you guys are members in that, but more so just to congregate and do business and get people out there, just because, I mean, you think about it, you spend around, what's that, 4 hours, 3.5 hours, 2 if you're really fast. But in the same sense is that a lot of people just don't realize how much business and good conversation can happen on a golf course. So I tried to incorporate that. I love hearing some things that other people are doing, like, oh, good, then it was a good idea. These guys are doing it too. And that was incorporating certain days of the week to do certain things, prospecting, clients this day or whatever, to be intentional about those days and really focus. And then also kind of like what you said, Dev, is that like after you did that first week, you're like, shit, I was not prepared. So you're like, I'm not going to let that happen again. So then you got a list of all these people that you're going to call, why you're going to call them, and the things that you want to say. So that's been really good for me. The one struggle I have had, and I'm a single dad, so I have Tuesdays and Thursdays. I got my son. Every other Friday, I got him, after 3. So for you guys know me before, I used to be a networking monster. I was at like every event that I could go to. So that limited down severely. So I have like maybe about 2 nights a week that I can actually go out. And sometimes that's either done for happy hours for, internally directly in my business. So it's been tough trying to go to the Jersey Man events, Philly Man, things of that nature. So any advice on there? I'd love to hear from any single parents out there that have tried to, juggle new schedules or whatever, but at the same side, just try to be more intentional about my days and us obviously take that good time with my son, that one-on-one time. So that's been awesome too. That's been rewarding,
So you have
out there
2 full days, like to where you like morning to night, you're with him?
So he goes to daycare. We pick him up at 3. So that means from 3 o'clock on, I got him over until the night, and then, next morning or whatever. So
this is the bottom line, right? 2 nights. Oh, listen, I don't want to have to go out 1 night a week. I enjoy spending time with my family. I don't want to be out at night. Like, that's just it. You know what I mean? Like, that's just where I'm at right now. But for the most part, like 2 nights, that's more than enough, right? As far as being out right now, what you have to do is, where's the opportunity? So if I have the kid from 3 on, well, maybe I need to start scheduling lunches. Maybe I need to start scheduling breakfasts, right? You can still be effective. You know what I mean? So there's still, and that's just the days that they're there, So one thing that I learned, especially like this summer, has been I don't want to say it like this, but it's kind of been like, as far as my work, and just like with some of the stuff my family would having the kid, I really couldn't do a lot, like to say the least. I couldn't get on the shore, couldn't do this, couldn't forget about night stuff, all that stuff. But I realized how could I be effective? Like, again, how could I play the offense? There's a million excuses why you can tell yourself you don't have enough time to do this. But there's also a million ways and opportunities you can also leverage this stuff, the Zoom stuff, but B, I know you like to be in person. Well, guess what? You have up till lunch, like breakfasts and lunches, I would crush them, right? Breakfasts and lunches all day. So that's one thing that I would say. And by the way, dude, listen, man, people love seeing kids on social media. You know what I'm saying? So have that dude all dressed up and sells baby, but you get a bunch of realtors want to send you some business because they fall in love with your kid too. But
no doubt.
With this being said, I want to call Justin because I do one-on-one stuff with him. And Justin, we really went all in. I'm working with him on tracking stuff, right? Tracking activity, right? So, for example, Justin has been on the PGA Tour all summer. So I was telling him, listen, let's, because sometimes he's like, he's being a lot more intentional. He's like, am I doing this too much? And I was like, well, we need to track it, right? Because then if we can go this many rounds of golf ended up being this. So Justin, if you want to share that experience and then also share with everybody, because this is worth what he's about to say, what we went over yesterday is worth a lot of money for people. So pay attention on our one-on-one yesterday, as far as like what we were talking about with, kind of like how to have the conversations to get leads out of these things too, kind of what your breakthrough with that was too.
Yeah, definitely. So, overall, I was saying on the last one with Brian, you're obviously there with me as we won. But we were able to get 3 different leads that Brian actually introduced me to, just we were working with them. So now, as Devin said, every event really I go to, I'm going to track, right? It's how many good introductions did I have? How many follow-ups do I have? How many appointments did I set on that exact event? But it's after the emotional, attachment that you make. I found it's what I was afraid to do is ask for the business. And that's what we started to get to build, but have this great rapport. We would have a great day, as Brian said, when we're out on this golf course. But I wasn't getting to that final stage of finding the way to ask. So when we were going through the notes yesterday, Devin actually gave me a couple of great, kind of a mindset of the questions I should be asking myself to then ask them to ensure that it was going to be mutually beneficial, to be able to word things in a proper way where it doesn't come off as I'm just trying to sell them, but I'm finding that way to bring value to them.
So what did you come up with, right? What was the number? You said you were like, I went golfing this many times and how much business came out of it?
Yeah, so I've probably played about 35 rounds so far this year, and I've gotten 10 deals total from that. And now the opportunities, though, that's what I need to track, because I was only tracking what I actually sold, not what's going to actually turn into business down the road. And that's the part I was missing, is that follow-up. So Devin and I have talked about, I'm going to create kind of a little golfer's email blast as well. That'll be to all the people, everybody I've had a foursome with. Obviously, I have that in my email. So I can now collect all of that data, put it in, and just have like a fun weekly email that goes out. That'll be golf related, themes, upcoming events, things of that nature, just to, again, stay top of mind, constantly add that value to people. And it's just another, little drip just to remind, hey, Justin's, he's the good time outside of the payroll guy. And he's looking for different ways to connect and to bring value to us outside of just payroll. And it's, again, it's going to help with that emotional attachment, which I think is the biggest part, right? Everybody can talk, everybody can kind of sell to an extent, but you make people feel. And I think that's what you have to leave people with at the end of the day.
Yep. And by the way, you sit there. So when somebody says, Justin, I see you're out there golfing all the time. Well, let me tell you about the math, mother effer. With the deals that I close, I actually make X amount of dollars every time I go out and golf, because I'm not just like, this isn't just like I'm doing this effectively. Like, business does not have to be boring, and most people got to get that out of their head.
One last thing I'll add, Dev, too, is what I found when I look back at the numbers is I was actually closing larger deals than normal when I was on the golf course. So for me, a typical company is worth about $2,000 in revenue for the year. Most of the deals that I sold through golf were between $6,000 and $8,000. So every single time I was 3 or 4 times what a typical deal would do by spending that time on the golf course. Again, I think it really comes down to that emotional connection Brian kind of led to. Here for 4 hours, you're stuck with me for the better or for the worse. My job is to make this the best experience you've had in quite some time. And that should be the goal for every meeting, but golf specifically, it's a great platform to do so for people who don't get out that often. Or even if they do, when you're showing up with good tunes, some drinks, cigars, and you can kind of cater to any vice they might have, that just kind of puts you at the top of the list and they keep you right in your mental.
Listen, bro, you keep on sinking putts like you did that last time. I'll bring you to every damn foursome I can bring you in.
Yeah. Well, let's not forget this.
Say winning doesn't hurt.
Straightest drive. I just want to make sure everybody knows that. I got my present this past week. But anyway, let's go to Kev, too. I know you had a comment on that.
Yeah, it's actually a comment for Justin and for Brian. Justin and I, we teamed up at the Gloucester County Chamber of Commerce golf outing a couple weeks ago. We met everybody just by sitting on hole 8. And now that hashtag party at Hole 8 kind of has a meaning in and of itself because of how many people we met and how many hands we shook through that outing. So, Justin, I'd be interested to see kind of what your ROI is on that event alone, just from the contacts that you were able to get and the contacts I was able to get. I've already set up a couple of meetings with folks from that event, so it's really paid off. My comment for Brian would be, think about the reason why you're not able to network and try to leverage it. And what I mean is, it's not like, oh, Brian's not able to make this event because he's got a nasty coke habit that he just can't shake. Brian's not at this event because he's being a good father. So when one of these events comes up that you're not able to attend because you're doing what you're supposed to be doing as a parent, which comes first, by the way, for all this business shit that we're doing, being a parent and your family and your life and the people intimately around you, that's what matters the most. You're emphasizing that. So leverage it. Hey, listen, would love to be a part of this event, but I got my hands full, or I have this opportunity to spend time with my child doing this. Go have fun. So that people at the event that are gravitating towards social media will not only just see you and recognize you, but they'll see you in a positive way. They know what you do. That's not in question. But the person that you are is what's going to gravitate people towards you. So like I said, just those opportunities, try to leverage them the best that you can so that when you do show up at an event, you've got something to talk about and it means a little more than as opposed to the person that's just at everything. Because sometimes that schedule of just going to everything is nonsensical, non-productive, and certainly doesn't create and maintain and establish that bond that you have with your son, right?
Great stuff. Heather, I got you next. But Brian, I put in the group transactional attachment to emotional attachment. That line should be worth millions of dollars for some of you. This is the deal. Now, again, I say this in trust that you're obviously doing what you're supposed to be doing as a father and all this other stuff, which I don't doubt. But I'll tell you right now, if you literally share that journey of being now listen, all right, let me share this too. All right, well, there's meaning behind this, but you got to be careful, right? Let's just say I was in your shoes, right? And the mom freaking left us. She was, I don't know, some people drugs, but there's a crazy story, and vice versa. Let's just say you're a single mom and the dad, and most people, right, are afraid to even tell that story, right? But if you don't even have to go that deep if it's not even, but for the most part, you sharing the journey of being a single father, that could make an emotional attachment to your network. You know what I mean? As long as you're being authentic and you're doing the shit, because I don't want nobody should be unauthentic and lying about who they are. That's not what we're about here. But for the most part, if you're in a position I'll give you both directions. If the wife or the mom was it was all her fault and she left you or whatever that is, if it's bad terms, whatever, that could be something, you don't want to bash the mom by any means, but you can kind of go into that could be something, sharing the single family, journey. If it's you guys are on good terms, and the wife's dude, don't be fucking said I ain't fucking helping you, motherfucker. I'm always, but you can still talk about man, I appreciate, having whatever her name is here because this shit is tough alone, man. You know what I mean? I don't know, but you can tell that story of being a single parent and you can make an emotional attachment with a lot of people. You know what I mean? And kind of build off of that authentically. You get what I'm saying? Same thing with sharing. I am very passionate about sharing my journey to be a great father, right? And it's not. There's no unauthentic. And sure, am I the best? There's still things I'm always got to work on. But sharing my presence in my family while growing a business, because I know that will help a lot of people. Because I've seen too many people go after their business and everything else dies behind them. Right. So I am very intentional with sharing. Not only am I going to smash this business, but I'm also going to perform high as a husband and as a father. Right. And I'm also going to share that. Right. That's something you can build off of. But Heather, I know you'd be a great person to have a comment on this too. Because I'm just
Yeah, Brian. sorry to hear about everything, but I've been through it. I was a single mom from the time my son was a year and a half. He's 12 now. I am in a relationship, but at the same time, I still kind of feel like I'm a single mom because I take on all of the duties myself. Do get along very well with my ex-husband and his wife. And I know that there's just so many pieces to it with business and, you know, trying to have a social life and building that relationship with your son in that short amount of time. And the state is always in favor of the mothers, and it's brutal. And if I just wanted to put it out there that if you ever need anybody to talk to, I'm more than happy to help. Just listen, give any advice that I can. I've been a step mom, I've been a stepchild, I have been the child of divorce, I have been now a single mom. So I've kind of had all the different views, and with the legal system, with the emotional part, with the business aspect. I mean, many of you don't know, but about 7 years ago, before I started getting back in the business world, like when I separated from my ex-husband, I worked at a liquor store. I was the cashier at a Joe Canals. And when my son, I did that because my ex-husband was a shift worker. So we didn't want to put him in daycare, my son in daycare. So when he worked, I had my son. And when he was off, I worked and he had my son. And then when Chase was getting ready to start kindergarten, I got back into the business world, and I've just grinded my way through, and it's worked, you know, and you appreciate it all. But first and foremost, like the relationship that I've built with my son is the most important thing. And yeah, I've been there. So if you need any of you ever want to talk about it, I'm here, and I'm more than happy to listen or give advice, anything that you need. I know it's tough.
Just real quick, Devin, if I could throw this in. The one thing, if there's two, you know, things I could probably count out in my life that have been real tough. This was one, you know, I had another situation as well. I found out during those times is that when those things happen, you really find out who your real friends are. You really find out who your best friends are, who's really close to you, whatever, who really sticks up. A lot of those people are on this call. You know what I mean? I was at that golf outing and I was with the guys, whatever. And the bond that I had with those guys alone, not the fact that we just took home a good championship thing, is huge, by the way. I swear to God, it's like a fucking Heisman. Anyway, but the point is, what I'm saying is like those things, I think you need those things in life, right? Can we all agree on that? Because it knocks you down a peg, it makes you humble, but also in the same sense, you just all of a sudden see the world again differently. And I'm lucky to have those people. And Heather, thank you very much for offering that up. And I appreciate the other people that have said that outside of this group as well. So it means a lot to when you go through those things, because there's those times when you sit there and you're like, this is not what I envisioned for myself. You know, this wasn't on the roadmap. You know, this wasn't on the vision board. And when you come across those things, it's tough to deal with. But I'll say this is that there's nothing that God doesn't put in front of me that I can't handle. You know, and He's doing it for a reason. So I'm taking it in stride. I'm adjusting. I'm adapting. I'm learning. And you know what? Even after this phone call, I got some new ideas. So I'm going to be incorporating those. So stay tuned for that stuff too.
So Jim, I know you had a comment, and then I want to add something else. So Jim.
Sure. So I just want to, you know, emphasize what Justin's doing. And this kind of goes back to, you know, the whole thing about your database, right? And this is an easy thing to kind of hand off to your admin, but it pays tons of dividends down the road. Like I can run a list at a moment's notice and know where all my clients came from, what investments they're in, you know, the kind of know your client piece, you know, what their favorite things are. So whether it's golf or cigars or wine or, you know, they're into gardening or whatever it might be, right? All that stuff that Justin's collecting, if it doesn't go back in the database and you can't then sort it and kind of go through it, and be very strategic about who you're sending materials to, right? Like, so, you know, in my business, you know, Jason's got the same issue. You know, we're very restricted on when and how we send things to clients, right? So we have limits on the number of items we can send out, you know, before it's approved, after it's approved, blah, blah, blah. So having that granularity in your database is really key, especially dependent upon your business and any regulations you have to follow. Because at a moment's notice, you can say, hey, you know, let's pull up, you know, let's send this to, you know, this letter to any of our investors who are in X, Y, or Z. Or even that prospect group, right? That prospect group or people we've met is so much larger than our client base. That touch, just to remind them of, hey, we're still out here. Here's who we are. And you don't have to do all that legwork every time you want to do it. You just run a report, or you just pull the query that you already have created. It pays tons of dividends down the road. So, Justin, I think what you're doing is a great idea, and it really builds upon many of the themes that we've talked about over the last year or so.
Yeah, man. And most people, that's a lot of manual labor, but man, it is money. It is time well spent. One, eventually, like Jim said, you can give it to an admin and, hey, this is the process, and you write down the notes, and that's huge. But that time spent in your mind, you may be like, man, this is a pain. But I'm telling you, man, you will thank yourself whenever that time comes. The holidays are coming up. You know what? Thank God I have that note there. Now I know I can invite this person. He's tagged on my CRM, football lover, whatever, stuff like that. But I do, to wrap up Brian's thing, and I think this is why I was getting that. I knew somebody in networking, for the most part, that this is the importance of being authentic, guys. This is the deal. Because if you try and be unauthentic, eventually you will be exposed, right? And it'll be the worst thing for you and your business. But there was somebody back when who did the whole portrayal of I don't even want to say, but it was a single parent, right? And it was like they would always post about this, but everybody knew, dude, you have these kids barely ever, the other person is doing a lot of the heavy lifting. So it was like, and it was well known. It was it almost was every time you saw it, everybody knew it was just unauthentic, and it was just some play so that's why when I was trying to explain it to you, obviously everything that I say, you got to back it up with, as long as it's the truth, right? You know what I mean? Just follow it up with that in your head. But that's why I kind of went into that. And that's just the importance of being authentic, because if you try and portray something, and people will find out, and guess what? It will spread like wildfire, and people won't want to do business with you on that end. So that's why I just wanted to make sure that, obviously, if you're single dad this, single dad that, and you're not who you portray yourself, people will find out. Not that I'm worried about that with you anyway. But all right, guys. So listen, we are coming up at 1:30. Anybody else have anything before we sign off, and you guys can get to taking action, collaborating with each other, doing all that good stuff? I don't think I have anything else that we need to chat about besides Joe Silva needing to change that screensaver at any point. But all right, guys, well, listen, go take action, have fun, do business with each other, share the group, pre-order your shirt too. If you guys are proud about what we're doing with oh, wait, Matt Ron, didn't you want to say something? I saw him on mute. I thought Matt, did you want to say something?
I was just going to share, I guess, if you wanted me to, about the impact of the post. Justin kind of just mentioned it in the chat real quick, but so a lot of times, I would work long days a lot, and I get frustrated a lot because I have a team of people, and sometimes it's why am I doing all this work when I have all these people? And I feel sometimes I'm overcompensating. But yesterday I worked a real long day, and I was going home, and I was a little bit upset because I have a young daughter too, and I want to try and make it home usually to see her before she goes to bed, and I didn't. But anyway, from going through the group and having a different perspective, I was well, I had the opportunity to have a really good day. I landed a big job, and I put a lot of effort in, but the effort I put in, I know I'm building towards something more. So it's not just people put worked a 12-hour day or whatever, I'm exhausted. It's I worked a 12-hour day, but I know I'm building towards something better in the future. So I think that mindset shift really helps a lot, and it's hard to get there or to be there in the moment. So, I felt good about the growth there. And then also, like Justin mentioned, Devin's been really good about stressing about family and importance at home. And, I posted something about Virginia, and it got a ton of likes. And Devin always says that. And I didn't post it to get likes. I just posted because I felt it at the moment. It was one of them things. And I was I should just show her I appreciate her and do this. And I didn't think too many people would pay attention, but when you're genuine, like Devin always says, like that gets way more likes than when I try and post something that's a good meme or something about business. And I'm like, oh, this could be helpful to people, and people don't even like it, or they don't really pay attention to it. So it was good to see the impact in two different ways in my life that are both positive.
Love it, Matt. And you're an action taker, dude. So that's, that's all based off of your hard work. And I work with Matt one-on-one. We were on the call. I said, this is the deal though, man. You are what most people aren't. You leave these calls and you're intentional with what you're being coached on. And now he's always trying to find the opportunities. When we're working on mindset thing, he's look, all right, where's the opportunity for me to use this? Where's the opportunity for me to see this? And sure enough, things are starting to come on and pop up, and he's having these breakthroughs. So when you get off these calls, guys, it's all about taking, this action. And when you start taking the action, then you start feeling the results. Then you start feeling the belief and all that stuff. So Matt, and by the way, Matt, just because people remember, don't think that they're not paying attention to your educational and informative posts, but they may not interact with it as much as the emotional attachment that you're making when you start letting people know about, hey, you're actually also a person too, not just a sales robot. All right, guys. Well, listen, have a great day. Remember, be intentional. Share this with other people. We're helping a lot of people. So make sure that, hey, if this is helping you, contribute to the community and share it with other people. Get your shirts and then put October 20th, 5 to 8 in your calendar. It's a free party. I want you guys collaborating, sharing the experience, meeting each other. Jay, Gabrielle, you raising your hand?
Just because I want to see if can you hang out for like a couple minutes just so we could talk about that just while we're both here? Cool.
Yep. Perfect, guys. Have a great day. Let's crush it. Take action.
Have a good one, everyone. Thanks, Devin.
Hey, dude. So
in the back, how you get your stuff not focused like in the back?
It's a little check mark under virtual background. You can just check blur. So now it has like the goofy beach scene and everything everybody was using. There's a blur. I don't know how it works, but it's pretty cool.
Video settings.
Yeah, under video settings. Well, it's a little bit above video settings. Choose virtual background.
Virtual background. Choose.
And then you'll see there's none, and then right next to it there's blur.
I don't have that. That's all.
Maybe you might have to update your Zoom, maybe if you don't have it.
Hold on, everybody's still logged on here. Do you want me to?
Sorry, I'm trying to get off. It's something going on with my goddamn.
Well, the only thing. So I just had the one thing I wanted to mention to you, Dev, is I've been trying to get a gentleman. I know Nick Doherty, one of the guys that you had speak like a month or two ago. He mentioned a guy that he was in a group with, Dan Sullivan. And so I'm in Dan's coaching program, Strategic Coach, which is, I mean, they're huge. They have like 150 coaches. Like he's big. Yeah. And he had mentioned in some of his podcasts that he would speak to any group or be on a podcast as long as he's allowed to talk about who, not how, which is a great concept. And so I'm like, so I've been trying to get, like, I keep following up with his assistant. I'm going to get him eventually, but I don't know how far in advance do you book? Like how far, you know what I mean? Like
right now I have Dana. Next month I have this lady who Dave introduced me to. She's some fucking female like world beater, but for the most part she's going to be call's going to be on core values, and she's worked for some pretty like major companies. Cool. So that call is going to be on core values. So December, I mean, if we can get him on this, and then that's pretty, it's a good amount of months away. That'd be cool.
Yeah. I just sent a follow up right now because I wanted to remember, and I said like, hey, I brought up to my coach.
Person. Yeah, as long as he's because everybody,
dude, he's been coaching since I think he said 40 years. He's got like 3 podcasts. He has 150 people that work for him that are coaches of other. Yeah. Like his organization coaches probably, I want to say thousands of entrepreneurs a year, but over the course of 40 years, I mean, hundreds of thousands all over the world. Like in my class, there's people from like Pakistan that are on like in the middle of the night. Like these are because it's all just, you got to attend. So it's crazy, man. He's big.
Bring him on just because I have so many people that reach out. Hey, could I? And I'm like, no, dude, I don't want them to feel.
Yeah.
I'm like, listen, my to be in this, and I want to give them like
Yeah.
made
Well,
people.
it's funny because he's not like a real high profile social media guy, but like Nick was talking about him a lot because he is big. He's just like under the radar, kind of like if you know type thing.
Does he have an Instagram or something?
He's 78 years old, but he's super high energy. And his thing is he wants to live to 146 and he has a plan for it. Like he's crazy. He writes a book every quarter. Like he doesn't write it. He has somebody on his team who he gives the idea to, they write it. Like he's a monster. He's just like a productivity, like he doesn't even have an office in his office. He's a neat dude. But his podcast, check out his podcast if you just want to get a vibe for him. They're short. They're all like 12 minutes long. Multiplier Mindset and Inside Strategic Coach.
Yeah, I'm trying to search. So it looks like somebody posted about him and his book, and it was a hashtag Dan Sullivan and there was an @Strategic Coach. So I'm wondering if he doesn't have an Instagram. And
it's probably Strategic Coach Instagram because they're, like I said, they have like 130 employees. They're a pretty big company.
All right, well, dude, I don't care. I just wanted to follow some of this, but yeah,
check it out. Check him out anyway, because I mean, like his thing is, I think we pay like 12 or 15 grand a year for it's an investment, but he's very good. So I know you can appreciate that. But yeah, I'm going to get him because I'm like, he said he would do it, and so he's a doer. So I think we'll get him. But that was one thing. So
anybody who if you say, listen, this community is over 100 people, they know the power of that. So
Oh yeah. Well, when I mentioned to them, when I was talking to my coach, I was like, it was after the Nick Doherty call. Yeah. And I was like, this dude spoke who Dan knows. He's in that $100,000
whatever.
He mentioned it a couple mastermind group. He's in it with Dan. So I'm like, there's a connection there already. And so if he wants to ask Nick, he can,
Awesome.
That's one thing. The other thing was the party. So give me a sense of were you thinking more like DJ, like lounge kind of beats vibe, or were you thinking like acoustic? Like, what do you have a sense of what kind of
acoustic? I don't want it acoustic. What could they sing fucking rock songs and stuff? When you say acoustic,
what were they singing? What did you say?
Could they sing is it just laid back? When you say acoustic, could they sing rock songs that people know?
Yeah, he does the guy I'm thinking of that I use for a lot of my stuff. He does Tinder Bar. He does Bars Down the Shore. He does he does a lot of sing along stuff that but he is just an acoustic player. So there is, but he sings stuff that you would know. He does Zach Brown. He does like stuff that you would fun stuff. Yeah. But but that's obviously a different vibe than a DJ kind of laying down beats.
Dude, I'm down for that. Listen, I feel like that's great energy and stuff like that. It doesn't matter. I just wanted to have some type of music.
Yeah.
Ideally, I didn't want you to be on the fucking job. I want you to meet people and meet people, create the relationships, all that stuff too. So yeah, I'm down for that. That's even, I felt like that's even cooler to have an acoustic.
Maybe we could do a little tag team. I can do an hour and then he can do 2 hours.
I don't care, dude. Whatever.
I would do my shit for, I don't care. I don't care about the money. I would just do it as a contribution to the group. But for him, probably have to pay him. He's he's not a lot though. It's these acoustic guys. It's funny because I know how much I charge, and they charge a couple $100, whereas I'm to DJ I charge more than that. So
literally, man, it's all a mindset thing, dude. It's in their mind.
It is.
For some reason they think that it's what?
I know. I'll text him and find out. Make sure he's available. I mean, it's a Wednesday, so I'm sure he's available. He actually works for Power Home Remodeling Group.
Yeah.
Dude, talk about a neat fucking company. If you could get one of the executives from there to talk, that company is so cool. My buddy works for them. He's in their talent acquisition. He's been there since it was a couple hundred people. Now it's a couple thousand. It's bananas, man. And the two founders are in their, I think they're in their early 40s or late 30s. And they do hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. It's crazy. Selling windows and siding and doors.
Yeah. Wow.
Man, wow. All right. So I will get back to you on that when I hear from him. I'll just shoot you a text, whatever the cost is for him. And then I'll plan to maybe play a little bit too, just to, give it a different vibe.
Yeah, I don't want you to do that shit for free, dude. No, man. All right,
all right, bro. Yeah, thanks.